It says we're not live. All right. It says we're not.
Uh,
We are live.
or not. One of the two.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Limited Time Only. I'm your host, Spencer, and I'm joined by my co-host, Danny.
What's that?
I should say my zero-time state champion co-host, Danny Cathro.
You're not wrong. I am a zero-time state champion or state competitor.
Can I ask, have you ever been a champion of anything in Magic the Gathering?
PPTQ.
Is that a champion? Are you the champion of a PPTQ?
I am the champion of a PPTQ. I'm trying to think of anything else. I don't think so. I was No. I mean, there was like a small tournament that I won like $300 for as the champion of that.
You gotta work on your champion resume.
I need to win something.
Mr. Silver Pro.
Yeah.
Well, welcome everybody. Don't forget to check out our sponsors at playatgamegrid.com. GameGrid is an amazing place to go and play Magic. If you're in the Utah area, check them out at playatgamegrid.com. They really, when I say they're amazing, like we had a listener tweet at us just this last week, was like talking about how much he loved it there. If you're in Utah, you should definitely go and check it out. You can also check out our other sponsor at the Mana Base. You can go to themanabase.com. Check them out. They have awesome up-and-coming Magic content, including, Silver Pro Danny Cathro, as well as GP Top 8 competitor Merfolk champion Nikachu. So check them out at the Mana Base. Let's go on to our first segment. Just kidding. All right, so this is Goodbye Week. Because of that, it's going to be a shorter episode. No biggest movers, no color of the week. We just want to talk about Amonkhet and say goodbye to it, really. There's no really reason to give you our biggest movers or a color of the week because, let's be honest, like nobody's gonna play this format anymore.
It's done. The last tournaments have been played. Pretty sure.
So it's been an interesting format. Let's get right into this. So every week on the show, we want to talk about something that's going to make you better at Magic. This is not one of those weeks, though. So I guess it's not technically every week. This week, we want to reflect on Amonkhet and kind of think about how we felt about the set, what we thought the set did well, what we thought it didn't do well, what we did with the set. Let's just start with your feelings of Amonkhet as a whole, Danny. Where did you end up on the set? Like, what were your overall overarching feelings of the set?
So going into the set, I expected it to be like really synergy based, like the cartouches being at common and comboing with the trials. I thought was going to come up like a lot. And it came up occasionally, but it wasn't as big of like a pool as I thought it was going to be. And there were like some other synergies, like all of the cycling payoffs, and a lot of those didn't fully come together. And the set played out a lot more like being a really disciplined drafter and taking the correct pick and drafting a good curve and having like it involved those skills more than trying to draft a cohesive synergistic deck. I enjoyed both. Like I enjoyed the format, but it didn't play out as I expected it to, if that makes sense.
Yeah. For me, I have two very different opinions of this set. One is my sealed opinion and one is my draft opinion. Because I think that this format, more than any I've played in a long time, has really had two different distinct formats in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion of the draft format overall was I liked it. It was fun.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't my favorite. It wasn't close to my favorite, but I enjoyed drafting this set. My feelings with sealed are pretty strange. It is one of the most frustrating sealed formats I've ever played, while also being one of my favorite sealed formats. I find that if you don't open bombs, you're in big trouble in this sealed format, which I don't like, because I think that it's formats like this that give sealed a bad name. We kind of talked about, I think last week on the podcast, how sealed is my favorite format, like just overall. And I do think that this sealed format really does reward you for opening bombs and playing your bombs. And I don't like that. I think that's actually bad sealed Magic. I think that good sealed Magic is playing the best deck in your pool and knowing how to build that pool correctly. And you can get some number of wins that way in this format, but not as many as I like. However, the mechanics of this sealed format were really fun. So even though like I wasn't going undefeated, so for example, the RPDQ, I don't know that I had a playable rare. I thought my deck was good. I thought my deck was fun. I had a lot of fun at the RPDQ. I lost a win in it for top 8. So it's not like this sealed, like if I hadn't, the problem was that I lost to bombs in every round that I lost, right? I had 2 losses.
Yeah.
One to Michael, one to another guy that qualified for the Pro Tour. Both of them had a ton of bombs. I had no chance. That's not fun.
Yeah.
However, all of my other rounds were really fun.
Yeah. It's kind of like what I was talking about with how draft played out. But in sealed, it actually did play out where the synergies really do shine, and you can draft, or like you can play like a Drakehaven deck. Like if you open Drakehaven, there's like enough cyclers that you normally can have like a really cool sealed deck that uses those mechanics. But like you said, you play against a lot of Glorybringer and a lot of Archfiend, and they're both like
even
really,
cards like
good.
Dusk Dawn or
Yeah.
the green. What's the green red with the white activated ability card? Like
Samut.
Yeah, like there were just all kinds of bombs. So I was like, well, that was
Yeah.
fun.
There's lots of good ones.
So, let's go on to our next question, which is what was our most drafted color, Danny?
For me, mine was definitely green, and I think that is due to the disparity of how I felt about green compared to how some other people felt about green. A lot of people just didn't like green, and I liked it significantly. Like I liked it more than that. Like I thought it was pretty comparable to red. Like red had better cards, but like you could make a really good green deck. Like I felt like I could draft green, and there were good cards that I could get, especially like uncommons. There's lots of really good uncommons, and I had a lot of fun drafting it, and it paid off. You kind of got to draft less aggro and more kind of trying to go to the late game decks, which I enjoyed. So.
Yeah, I actually, for the first time in a long time, I'm not going to say red on this one. I definitely drafted green the most. There were just underrated cards in green, like Bitterblade Warrior, Colossopede, the Cartouche, like the whole color. Just people put it on the power level of like blue and black, and I just think it was just better than those colors. So I just often ended up like I won drafts with green red, green black, green white. I don't know that I ever won one with green blue.
I played a lot of green blue.
I would assume you would.
Yeah.
I guess that's not true. I guess like some of my green blue black deck. I did win a draft with green blue black, which was basically a green blue deck splashing black. So yeah, like I just it was so easy to get into because other people didn't care. And it like kind of like you said. So and I think that the commons in the like I expected this format to be a Colossopede format, and it didn't turn out to be a Colossopede format. But I still thought Colossopede was completely reasonable, and you could get really late Colossopedes.
Oh yeah, for sure. The nice thing about green is I did think the commons didn't synergize the best sometimes, which kind of was like one of the weaknesses of green. Like there were kind of the ramp commons and then the beatdown commons, which didn't always go together, but they were pretty good. So if you got like the right half in your deck, you can make a really good green deck that had a good strategy.
Yeah. So yeah, what was your favorite deck to draft?
So the green ramp decks I really liked. Like I enjoyed taking Naga Vitalist, the Pyramid. I liked taking Sheffet Monitor. I even like it wasn't always the best deck. You had to really you had to make it work. I normally paired it with black because I just draft cartouche editions and put them on Scaled Behemoths, and then you would win if you could survive. So that was my favorite archetype. But like I'm not saying it was the best archetype, but I enjoyed it more than the other ones.
My favorite archetype, I want to do one for sealed and one for draft. My favorite archetype for sealed is like Drakehaven.
Yeah, opening Drakehaven and sealed is so sick.
It is so fun. It is like
yeah.
When
it's really good.
I think the first time that you cast Wander in Death, you don't cycle it. You cast it. You're like, yeah, we're doing it.
Yeah.
You're like, you're like cycle make a they're like, play Drakehaven, cycle make a Drake, cycle make a Drake, untap, cast Wander and Death, get these 2 cards back, go, cycle make a Drake, and you're like, I don't know what just happened.
Yeah. No, it could be pretty impressive. And it's weird that deck would have so much more success in sealed than it would in draft. Like you can open Drakehaven in
Hold on.
draft.
It was the most successful deck in our Pro Tour testing for draft.
Okay.
Right? Like there was
Yeah.
it was a 3-0, a 3-0, a 3-0, a 2-1. Like people were just and the only 2-1 that it had lost to the 3-0 other Drakehaven deck.
That's pretty funny.
Like
I think that we were a little slow picking up on how good the like white cartouche could be. Like that card specifically, I underrated that one so much, and it completely warps how the format plays out.
Yeah, it was really funny. So the day that we did Pro Tour testing, we also did some sealed pools.
Mhm.
And I think that the legitimate best deck that I've had in this format, sealed or drafts, was a sealed pool that I opened that day. It's on. You can look at it on my Twitter. But it had like double of Oketra's Attendant, a Glory Bringer, triple Gust Walker, double Magma Spray, a Dean Worthy. Like it was just an insane deck. And we were like, well, nobody's ever gonna beat this deck. Like triple Gust Walker's broken. And then like, yeah, people just had triple Gust Walker in all kinds of draft decks. So it just turned out that like we got Gust Walker wrong because we didn't realize like how good we just didn't realize. That being said, I think that my favorite draft archetype was green black, probably by a lot. There's just something about putting a black cartouche on philosophy that like feels so great. It's like kill your X1, attack you for 6, like recoup any advantage that I had lost throughout this game. And then they just like look at their hand and their red white deck and they're like, yeah, I lose.
Yeah.
Like GG's, bro.
That's why Cartouche of Ambition got so much better, is because you gain 6 life? Wow, that's really good in this format. Wow. Yeah, I can't really beat a 6/6 lifelinker.
Yeah, I think that Cartouche of Ambition just really pushed me to want to be in green decks anyway. And it kind of just fits my playstyle. Like I really enjoyed, as much as Daniel will tell you that I just like draft aggro all the time. It's not true. I actually just prefer this style of Magic. It just so happens that I don't get rewarded for it as often. And in this format, I actually did feel like I got rewarded for like drafting a good green black deck, playing solid Magic, and just having fun.
For sure.
What was your least favorite deck to draft?
So I didn't really enjoy drafting red white. I admit that it is really good, but especially at the end, like if I opened a good red or white card, I would generally like go into it, and like it was just, you'd get cut. Like you really had to play some, like the colors are deep and the cards are good, but like everyone's drafting red white. Like it's so common to draft it.
It's so funny because mine is for a similar reason. I hated drafting black white, and specifically black white zombies. And here's the reason: you are like, all right, well, like I'm gonna take this wayward, whatever it's called, right?
Wayward Servant,
and then like you get past a wayward servant, and you're like, all right, we're doing this, right? But the problem is that like every other good zombie is a high pick for other decks.
Yeah, Binding Mummy.
It's like I don't get Binding Mummies. I don't get
the Menace one, the 3/2 Menace.
It's so ridiculous. Like. I actually think that deck, everybody talks about all the times that like they drafted the deck and it was sweet for them, but I've never seen a video of anybody drafting it. I've never seen anybody successfully draft. I actually don't believe the deck exists. People say.
So I had one that felt completely insane, and then I just lost in round 2. And I beat the mirror round 1 and lost in round 2. And I had 4 Wayward Servants and a Liliana's Mastery, and then like a bunch of other zombies. I didn't have any of the lords, like none of them were opened. But
I just don't actually think it's possible for that deck to come together. Like I know it's possible, but like it's not really possible.
Yeah. I mean, I think the best versions of those decks are just the white black decks that have some zombie cards. And just don't ever play like the bad zombie cards. But, yeah. I can see how that would not be enjoyable. It's like, it's just like a deck that it doesn't work out very often.
Yeah. What do you think your most drafted uncommon was, Danny?
So I actually went through the uncommons. I thought about this one quite a bit. And so the key with a most drafted uncommon, same with common, is that you need to value it higher than other people, right? So My pick that I was pretty sure would be correct was Watchful Naga. Because I remember that card goes really late. Like, you can find it very, very late in the pack normally. And I actually like that card. Like, I felt like I could make it work. I drafted a lot of green-blue decks, and I put a Cartouche of Knowledge on him, and it would kind of go off. Like, you had to make sure that the board state was relatively safe and you weren't dead. But in certain matchups, like, that card would be really strong. Like, it would be a 2-for-1. Just it would attack into their 2/2, and then they would have to block it. Like, they don't want you to draw 2 cards off of it. So
Yeah, for me, I think that this one, I only did I did very few drafts on Moto, but I know what card that I think that I basically never passed is that other people probably that people did pass at me, and that's All Crop Crasher.
yeah, that card.
Yeah, I think that I first picked that card a lot more than I probably should have, and I also got it passed to me probably more than I should have, and it probably just added up to me having the most of those in drafts.
That makes sense. Card's insane, like completely insane.
Yeah, I mean, like 2 weeks ago we were talking about like, is it better than Trial of Zeal?
Yeah,
when take it over Trial of Zeal in certain drafts.
Yeah.
I think that's a real argument to have, and I think the card like just does more than Trial of Zeal in a lot of board states.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
What do you think that your most drafted common was? I actually know what mine was. I actually don't even think that's close.
I jokingly was going to say Slither Blade, but that's not actually the truth. Mine, I'm pretty sure it's Greater Sandworm. It went into a lot of the decks I liked, and they would go pretty late. Not very many decks want a 7-drop, even if it has cycling. But I would find myself drafting lots of Naga Vitalists, and I would try to play the Pyramid deck when I saw one, because I thought that card was kind of fun to play with in Limited. It's slow, but enjoyable. So.
Okay. Mine, you could probably guess mine. What do you think my most drafted common was?
Emberhorn Minotaur.
No.
That one's good though. Wait,
way more aggressive.
Way more aggressive?
Way more aggressive.
I think. All right.
What would I love to still play in green red?
Still playing green red.
I actually probably played this card an inappropriate amount. There's no way it was as good as I played it.
Just brute strength or something?
No, it was Cartouche of Zeal.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, that card makes sense.
Yeah,
wow.
I probably had a Cartouche of Zeal in like I probably had multiple Cartouche of Zeal in like all of the decks.
Yeah, that card's really good. When it's good.
If I had to pick between Bloodlust and Cider of Cartouche of Zeal, I would pick Cartouche of Zeal probably every time. And people first picked Bloodlust and Cider in this format. So like I think that Hammerhand is like legitimately good and limited in many, 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 many different decks. I think that +1/+1 in haste the turn that you play a creature, so like increasing your creature's mana cost by 1 and giving it another power and toughness and haste, plus making another creature not block is definitely good enough. Like just 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Like the format wasn't the most fun always to play. I kind of felt like sometimes when I was playing the format, it's kind of like Magic homework. Like I felt like it was an exercise in my ability to like read a format, understand how the cards work together. Like the drafting, I felt like was really difficult to do well, just because there's like so many unique cards that people evaluate really, really differently, even now. And so like Cartouche of Zeal, like that card is like, it's a hard card to evaluate. Sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's really bad. And when you get all of these like situational cards in the same set, it makes it really difficult to draft and like rewarding to practice and stuff.
What do you think? What card do you think you're the most right about?
The most right about?
Yeah.
Can
I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Slitherblade. I said the card. I said the card was unplayable. It's completely unplayable. I actually do not believe that a Slitherblade deck has legitimately like 3 out of draft since the Pro Tour. That's probably not true, but like, compared to the number of people that have tried to do it, like, it was wrong. People tried to do it the entire format. People talked about it the entire format. Some people did it at the Pro Tour. They were great Magic players. Get over it. The deck is bad. Like, it's legitimately not good.
Yeah, I don't think the Slitherblade deck is a good deck either.
I think that is the thing that I was the most right about
Interesting.
from the beginning. What do you think you're the most right about?
I let me think. So after like the first week, I was super high on Wander in Death and Sealed. So that one, like my sealed version, I think that one was my most like. Some people weren't as high on that card when it's actually just like
Really
insane.
good.
And yeah, it's like just actually great. Um, oh, trying to think. The cheap combat tricks I was generally pretty high on. Like I really like 1 mana combat tricks, and in this format they're especially good. So like Shed Weakness is like a type of card that I always value pretty highly, and it plays out really well in this format for sure. But
What do you think you were the most wrong about?
Cartouche of Ambition, I was like completely off that card.
That's a good one. I think that most people just didn't understand how powerful that was going to be.
Yeah, it was
Um,
like I actually thought that was like a like a not a high pick, like a not very playable. Like you would play it, but
a-
not very often.
and then you ended up first picking it a bunch.
Yeah, and then it's actually just actively great. Like I was very, very wrong with that card. And I don't know if it would always be good. Like I think there's formats where it would be unimpressive and bad, but in this format it's just like it's so good. It's
So
crazy.
I think that my answer is going to surprise people because I think that they're going to be like, "What do you talk like? What?" So I historically do not like 3/1s for two. I think that they're typically really bad, like
Uh-huh.
really, really, really bad,
Uh-huh.
like really.
Well, you had the same thing happen uh in Aether Revolt, right? I think I was really high on Audacious Infiltrator, and you liked the 2/2 with Revolt, if you remember that. I don't know.
Okay,
But
yeah,
yeah, like I think that's like a like 3/1s are might just be better than 2/2s now. But
that's not true. Hold on.
sometimes they are
The
though.
card I'm about to say is definitely not better than most of the 2/2s.
Okay.
But I just wrote off Initiate's Companion because it was a 3/1 for two. The card
Okay.
actually ended up being pretty solid.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
I do not believe that it's dregs, and I think that it was drafted highly, and people were pretty happy about it. It's like one of those cards that like you take like seventh pick, and you're like, yeah,
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 exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
You're feeling great.
yeah. But like, if you had that, but the choice between that and like basically any of the 2/2s in the set, you would still take a 2/2 because of things like Cartouche of Ambition and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. No, the
But
two twos are definitely better.
what I'm saying is, I wrote off this card, and it is like a weakness of mine in Magic that I need to recognize. I wrote off this card because it was a 3/1, and actually, what it ends up doing is while you're on the play, like just letting you blow your opponent out.
Yeah.
Like it ramping you is so good,
Hmm. You get to like
especially
play a 2-drop on turn 3, hit them, untap a land, play another 2-drop. It's like,
yeah,
whoa, what? I had so dead.
yeah. It felt really good. So that's the card that I was probably the most wrong about.
Hmm.
I would say that the mechanic that I was the most wrong about, like when you look at things like even Wind Guide or like all of these embalm creatures, I just thought they'd be better.
Well, the format just like outpaced them. Like you just got punished for playing like Embalm 7. Just like wasn't an ability that you used very often.
Yeah, I think so. I think that Colossopede is another one that I would classify as like being pretty wrong about. Not that
Yeah,
it wasn't good, but I just thought it would be like the second best green common. Like
it definitely was not. Yeah.
it
So
wasn't. Like I thought it would be like Cartouche of Strength, Colossopede, something
hmm
else, and it just didn't work out. Like it might have been Hooded Brawler then Cartouche of Strength.
yeah, Hooded Brawler is great. That's
Yeah.
really good.
What when you look back on the set, Danny, what do you think? What do you think you'll think? Like when somebody's like when somebody mentions Amonkhet Limited, are you just gonna remember Glorybringer?
I think hopefully what I remember is the amount of practice that can pay off in practicing a limited set. Like I feel like where my mentality was going into the set and where it actually turned out after playing it was very different. And that doesn't always happen. Sometimes you can like look at a spoiler for a set and have a pretty good idea of how it's gonna play out. But it was really interesting to see how this one played out so differently than what I envisioned. And the only way to figure that out is when you play games and kind of like make You have to play enough games, but you also just like make note as you're playing of what you're losing to, like what cards are overperforming, underperforming, like why are you losing to Sacred Cat, like things like that you shouldn't.
That happened to you? That never happened to me.
No, I lost to like a Sacred Cat, Tall Crop Elite, uh, Trial of Solidarity. He's just like
oh, you know what? That's true.
Yeah,
I have killed people with Sacred Cat. I've just never lost with Sacred Cat.
yeah, like if you're gonna like if you have Trial of Solidarity and you're gonna or Pursue Glory and you're gonna just like curve out and like you want to play a 1-drop if you're gonna like play a 2-drop and a 3-drop and then 2-2-drops and then a combat trick that pumps your whole team. Like a 1-drop is really good in that hand, and so like that's just something that you can't see how good that's gonna be until you start playing games. And I learned that a lot from this set. But
I think that this set will be the set that reminds me that Impeccable Timing is probably one of the most underrated Magic cards of all time in Limited.
interesting.
I just think that people are wrong. Like, I think you're wrong. I think Reed Duke is wrong. I think you're just wrong.
So I will say that Impeccable Timing is so good against horrible players. Like, so good. Like, if you're playing against someone that doesn't know what they're doing, Impeccable Timing is like Doomblade. But if you're playing against really, really good players, it starts to be more difficult to utilize it. Like, it's good on turn 2, but it's past that, it starts to, like, it's just awkward.
I'm just saying, I called Reed Duke wrong on my podcast, which I don't know that I've ever done before. I don't know that I'll ever do again. But
it's a bold claim.
It is. It's a strong stance. But yeah. I just think that like Impeccable Timing was like a very third pickable card in this set, and I just watched so many people just be like, no, like it's been bad before, and it just wasn't bad in this set. It was good.
No, yeah, in this set it definitely overperformed, because people just kind of will jam into you. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it's good. It's just anything that's situational. When it works, it looks great. It just has the drawback of being situational, which if you can work the game state into a way where you can make that situation come up, you're going to be really rewarded. And that's part of like playing Magic well. And like the mechanics of playing a game of Magic, a lot of the skill of that is working board states into ways that you can use your situational cards in powerful ways.
I think looking back on this set, I'll also remember it being the set that I was like the most wrong about removal.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we did the set review, we're like cast out, best white uncommon,
insane.
We're like
final reward, another awesome card.
Yeah. What is the name of the white 2-mana
compulsory rest?
Yeah, we're like compulsory rest.
Snap first pick.
Dude, that card was so medium.
Yeah, like it's a fine card. It's totally fine.
It just gives your opponent a mana sink. It's like
yeah.
You're like, okay, put this on your 2/2. They're like, okay, play a 2/2, sack this 2/2.
Yeah.
And so often like they're like their best creature like had an embalm or something, and you were like, this looks so bad. Or like their
Are
best.
there any mana sinks? It's embalm and cycling, but cycling isn't.
It's embalm and cycling, right? So.
But those aren't like you don't get. Mana sinks are so important for limited formats. Like I feel like if there's not mana sinks, you just get. There's no reward for not just playing aggro. Like I feel like it turns into curve out and win is so common.
I think that this format was a little bit different. I think that embalm and cycling are good enough mana sinks, but they just did exert incorrectly.
Exert was really strong.
Like Nefrock Entangler is this common 2/1 that's like looks not menacing, but then you attack with it and it's like this 3/3 all of a sudden. You're like, well, I can't block it.
Yeah.
I'm taking 3, and it just made blocking really awkward. And I think that if blocking hadn't been so awkward, then you could set up situations where you could block more often, cycle more often, and it just would have been a different game. Or even just block with your embalm creatures and really get rewarded for that. And that just didn't end up happening.
Yeah, your tall crop skirmisher never traded. It just like sat there.
One card that I would love to kind of talk about for just a second is Cartouche of Knowledge. This is a card that people were like rating really highly after the Pro Tour that I just
super high. Even before the Pro Tour, through the Pro Tour, like really, really high.
How do you think the card ended up?
I think it suffered from blue not synergizing with it. Anytime blue gets like a aggressive slanted card, just plays out weird. Like Cartouche Knowledge is really like if that was in green, I feel like if that was just a green card that did the same thing, it would be so busted, right? Like it would be so good. You just like, oh, claw speed. Oh, sick. Flying. Attack you for 6. Draw a card for some like it would be so good. But like the green or the blue color pie is just like not able to take advantage of it very well.
Have they dumbed down blue so much that it just can't be a good limited color anymore?
It's like really hard. Like it struggles every set, right? Like
I just don't
yeah.
I honestly don't understand, like, what if you just cut the cost of illusionary wrappings by 1? What if you just like
Mm-hmm.
like what if you just do it differently? I understand that like people hate playing against counter spells, but like I feel like blue has more to offer than like
So
girdling.
blue is a fine secondary color. Like there are fine blue cards in limited sets that pair well. Like blue red is very often one of the stronger color combinations, right? But generally, it's one color pair with blue has a really good uncommon that synergizes. Like they work in the synergy really well because all the blue cards are situational. Like I think that's the biggest problem with blue, right? Is it seems like almost all their cards are situational or like
Yeah, I
have
agree.
some glaring flaw. Like Labyrinth Guardian. It's like a good card, but they like have to put in some kind of flaw so that it's I don't know. It's just weird. It's a weird color.
Hold on. I don't know that card has a real flaw in it.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But like the just like the aspect of blue, like I'm just scrolling through it, and there's like Labyrinth Guardian where it has this thing that happens if you target it. Censor, it's like a situational counterspell. Cryptic Serpent, situational casting costs. Like Zenith Seeker, horrible rate, but if you fulfill this thing, you can give all your stuff flying. Gale Strike, turn target tapped creature. Like all of the cards are so situational that it makes it so hard to build a deck into something that like it can function consistently. Just because limited is really inconsistent, and that's why the strategy of like drafting 2 drops, curving out, playing removal creatures, combat tricks. That's it is so effective. It's because it's an inconsistent format, and blue just isn't consistent. At least not the way that they print cards. No.
So, kind of my last one before we wrap up with my final question is, was it weird to you that you would rather open rares than mythic rares in this set?
Angel of Sanctions is the only one that doesn't follow that rule, right?
Yeah, it's like Glorybringer, Archfiend, even like
the cat. The cat is insane.
The cat,
Regal
Drake, attack 1, pick 1. Drakehaven is reasonable.
Yep.
Like, I would just rather open a rare than a mythic rare. Like, Angel of Sanctions is fine, but like, I'm not greedy.
I'm not greedy. I'll take my Channel Initiate.
I'll take my Glyph Keeper. I'll take Glyph Keeper. Like,
yeah. Curator of Mysteries. Sure. Liliana's Masteries.
Vizier of Many Faces. Like, this
Glory
was
Bound
so,
Initiate.
So weird.
Yeah.
Like, so weird. I've never played a set that felt this. I'd rather, like, I played sets that were like rare centric, right? Where it's like, like the rares are really important. But I don't know that I played a set where it's like, all right, what do you pack 1, pick 1 first every time? A rare. What do you pack 2, pick 2 every time? A rare. Pack 1, pick 3. Like what is your pick order? It's like the third pick is the first mythic. Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
That's weird. Like, I would legitimately rather have Archfiend or Glorybringer than Angel.
Yeah, no, probably. And then like Vizier is close behind. It's probably the next one, right?
And then it's Vizier, and then it's like Glyph Keeper or Regal Caracal. Like, it's just more rares.
Yeah.
And then like
because the gods are also like situational. Like you have to do something for them to work, so they're not as like balmy as some of the other ones.
Not only that, but like, what have I named a single card that you'd rather have Liliana than?
Yeah, she's fine.
Right?
She's fine.
Like, it was just a weird set for mythic rares. It was a really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like you look at things of like Vizier of the Majory, or like it was just not a great set for
The Mythics,
Mythic.
yeah.
And man, don't even get me started on Nissa.
Oh yeah,
All
I
right.
don't even see her, but yeah, she was just great.
All right.
Ready.
It's 3 years from now.
hmm
I have a box of Amonkhet. Would you come over for a draft?
I don't think I would be super pumped. Like I might do it, but I would not be excited about it.
Would we end up just drafting whatever the set was on Moto at the time?
Yeah, probably. Like this set was fine, but I really felt like it was homework almost. Like you have to like work really hard and you're just trying to like eke out small advantages by taking slightly better cards and like kind of beating down people and like curving out a little bit better, and it wasn't like sweet. Like you didn't get to do the sweet stuff very often. And I really enjoy drafting sweet things, especially if I'm going to go to a friend's house. I want to draft a sweet set, not like a.
All right, switch it up. Switch it up.
Yeah.
So I also would never invite you over for a draft of Amonkhet in 3 years. However, I might be like, I have this box of Amonkhet. You want to open some sealed pools?
Yeah, I would do that.
Like, if we got 6 people and did team sealed with this format, I would do that.
Oh, that would be sweet, actually.
I would snap that off.
That sounds really fun.
Right?
Yeah, that sounds really fun, actually.
Weird format.
This because the sealed decks probably
so
there would be like an aggro deck, but you'd probably be able to like fight against the aggro deck, and then you would also have like sick Drakehaven decks and sick Hapatra decks and like
sick 5-color ramp deck. Like,
oh yeah.
Like it would actually be really fun. And I think that says a lot about this format. I think that there was a mechanical error, and the set was supposed to feel more like the sealed format than it did like the draft format.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that the sealed format, like I said, like yes, it's bomb heavy, but it's still one of my favorite sealed formats ever. Like even though it was kind of frustrating, it's like, man, those were like fun games, fun deck building, fun interactions, fun. Like this sealed format is fun.
It is fun. If you don't get blown out, it's like really, really fun. So yeah, it was interesting.
So that kind of wraps it up. Like that is our experience with Amonkhet.
We still get to experience it a little more, right? It sticks around. Just like a third.
I'm so excited for our devastation and for a change up. I'm excited for Pro Tour testing. I'm excited to get to experience something new and fresh. And I hope that everybody enjoyed Amonkhet. I did enjoy Amonkhet. Like, I really, really did.
Mm-hmm.
But I am ready for it to be over.
Me too. Yeah, like it didn't last as long. Like it was fun. You occasionally did something cool, but yeah, it was unique. I definitely learned a lot from the set.
No, how would you build it this week? But Danny promises to bring you one the second that the full set is spoiled.
Oof, let's do it. Our devastation time.
And we are excited to just move forward and get you guys ready for your sealed PBTQs. We know that during Modern season, a lot of people don't have access to Modern decks, so it's going to be really important that we talk about sealed on this podcast, and we completely understand that. So we'll make sure to make an effort on that. Don't forget to share our sponsors at the Mana Base and Play at Game Grid. There's 2 amazing websites. The Mana Base reaching out to us has been really awesome. We really like our relationship with them. Check out their content. And also, if you're looking for sealed product, they have a sponsor themselves in Fusion Gaming, and they have some awesome prices on sealed product that can ship to you. So check them out at Fusion Gaming and at the Mana Base. And check out Game Haven. Game Haven? Whoa, don't do that. I mean, you can, but it's not quite as good as Game Grid. Game Grid is like legitimately great. I might be moving to Lehigh soon, so I'll be playing at Game Grid more often. Look at Danny's smile; he's like so excited.
It's so fun. Like so pre-release time is some of my favorite times because they just have 6 pre-releases in the weekend or something. Like they just do it like at all hours of the day.
Danny, as long as you're my co-host on this podcast, I will do a Twin Giant pre-release with you anytime you want.
Let's do it. We killed it last time.
Lock it in.
You were so good at drawing Faith of the Devoted. You were so good at it.
Yeah, I think I only didn't draw it 1 round.
Yeah. And then I think you drew it off the top or something. Like you only didn't keep it in your opener, but then you quickly drew it, I think.
No, we won a game. We won round 1 without me drawing it, right? Or round 2, one of them. We won round 1. We won one of the rounds without me ever playing it. Because you just attacked with double fight with double.
I do remember that actually.
Yeah, just like attacked.
I had like green dummies. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you countered everything or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trader Giant is not balanced, but it's fun. You get to have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So check out our sponsors at Play at Game Grid. So check out Game Grid and the Mana Base. They really are amazing. You can also support this podcast directly by going to patreon.com/ccmtg. You can be a patron of this show and all of the content on constructive criticism. I've had people reach out to me about doing a Pauper podcast. If you are interested in being a host of a podcast about competitive Pauper Magic, there are amazing Pauper tournaments every weekend on MTGO. The format is blooming. It's really fun. I'd love to produce a show about Pauper. Let me know. But if you want to support this kind of content, check it out at patreon.com/ccmtg. Danny, where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter at DJ Cathro. I'm pretty good. People tweet me every once in a while, get some tournament updates like every once in a while. And then Facebook, you can message me. I've had some people message me about like standard decks and ideas and stuff. So I always like talking to people there. So
yeah, I sent somebody your way this week and they said they had a really good time. So
cool.
You can message me at Spencer13H on Twitter. You can follow me there. You can message me on Facebook at Spencer Student Helen. You can join the Constructive Criticism family, where we are always happy to be talking about Limited in there as well. And you can join the conversation on Twitter with tweeting #What's the Pick. #What's the Pick is our Twitter outreach program. If you tweet it, we'll read it. We don't have any to read this week. The format really died when we started doing this, so it's not surprised that we got a little bit less of them. But excuse me. As the new format starts, please feel free to tweet #What's the Pick. Anything in your first 3 picks, just post a picture or a screenshot or a description, and we'll read it and kind of talk about those picks. So we're really excited for that. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast here on Twitch. If you just hit that follow button, it's really appreciated. You can hit the subscribe button on YouTube, or you can subscribe on iTunes. Everything is really appreciated. It means the world to us. So thank you, everybody, for listening this week, and we'll be back next week with another episode of Limited Time Only.
See ya.